ChatGPT couldn't get a perfect LSAT score, but it's still going to fundamentally change the nature of the admissions process. Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to share how ChatGPT will significantly impact the law school admissions process. Before I get into it, I wanted to let you know that I put together a free easy LSAT cheat sheet linked below this video to help you jumpstart your LSAT prep. So take a moment, check that out, then come back to the video. So the reason I'm making this video is that I believe that ChatGPT will significantly impact the law school admissions process in the coming admissions cycle, namely because it is better at writing application essays than most applicants I've seen. The sad truth is that most people just aren't that good at writing application essays. ChatGPT is, of course, extremely generic in its writing style. It requires a bit of finesse to help it pull out that creativity. Most people, though, are using it to write very standard templated documents, emails, and such. But the good news for applicants is that, of course, it can actually write decently well when it comes to grammar, diction, punctuation, and style. So it's going to automatically level up the average applicant's writing ability. It's certainly not going to write Shakespeare or anything like that. It has very limited ability to be creative in its writing style, but it will still serve the function of a pretty decent copy editor, and it is democratizing that skill across the entire world, essentially. Everyone with an internet connection will now be able to take advantage of this. And so what this means going forward is that law school admission officers will not be able to gauge an applicant's writing ability from application essays the same way they could have before. Of course, they do get the LSAT writing sample as an unfiltered look at an applicant's true writing ability, but when it comes to getting a sense of who the applicant is, their personality, ChatGPT will still let applicants level up the quality of what they're submitting. It's not going to be great in most cases. It will be generic, and so I certainly do not recommend relying upon it solely as a way to revise your law school personal statements, but I have found that most essays can be improved to some extent through the use of AI chatbots like ChatGPT, and this technology is only going to get better and better with time. I have personally noticed significant differences in the ChatGPT 3.5 model released in late November last year versus the ChatGPT 4 model released in February of this year. And so who knows what's going to happen over the summer or in the fall coming up, just as the application cycle begins. I do believe that admission officers recognize the fact that application essays are going to be less useful than they were in the past at getting a sense of who the applicant truly is. And for this reason, they will de-emphasize the importance of application essays even more than they already have. As you likely know by now if you've been following the channel for a while, the LSAT is the biggest factor in the law school admissions process, followed by the GPA, and then everything else. Application essays including personal statement, diversity statement, optional essays, addenda, resume, letter of rec, interviews in some cases. And so all of those application documents now are not as useful at letting admission officers gauge the quality of what an applicant is able to produce on their own. Those who can do it naturally versus those who can do it with ChatGPT may not be that easy to distinguish. Of course, there have been many applicants using private admissions consultants and editors to help them with their essays. This will still continue because a human, for now at least, is still much better able to help an applicant produce high quality documents than an AI chatbot can. But that tech is only going to get better and better with time, and even in the next 3 to 6 months, we can still expect significant improvements to come out in this space. And so, if admission officers de-emphasize the importance of application essays, that means that everything else, such as LSAT and GPA, will become relatively more important. GPA is already somewhat limited in its usefulness due to grade inflation, which has only been rising over the past couple of decades. And so the LSAT still remains the one truly objective measure of an applicant's ability that lets admission officers easily compare applicants from different backgrounds, with different majors, from different schools, with different abilities to hire admission consultants for their essays, for example. The LSAT is less gameable than any of these other components, and any factor in the admissions process is only useful to admission officers insofar as it cannot be gamed. Application essays just got a whole more gameable, and as a result, they've gotten a lot less useful. And so if you are applying to law school in the fall, I'm not going to say don't use ChatGPT at all. It is great when it comes to proofreading, copy editing, sentence by sentence corrections and such. It is not creative though, and if you have it generate your essay from scratch or generate it from a list of bullet points, it's going to feel generic. It's not going to feel human. Admission officers will be able to tell, most likely. They're reading enough of these essays. They've read enough in the past. They'll likely be able to determine which essays were written by a chatbot and which were written by humans. So do not use this software to help you plagiarize your essay from scratch. But if you want it to give you a proofread and give you suggestions, that is certainly useful. And I do believe it would still fall within the bounds of what is considered ethical in the admissions process. Of course, if applications this fall say do not use AI chatbots at all, don't use them. But in the absence of that, these tools will be around for the foreseeable future. These tools are only going to become more integrated into society, into work and such. And so those who can wield these tools effectively and ethically will have an advantage over those who cannot. Of course, though, the biggest factor in the law school admission process is the LSAT, now more than ever. I actually believe this is why the ABA postponed its vote on removing the LSAT requirement. For those who aren't aware, I made a number of videos about this over the past several months, documenting the fact that the American Bar Association appeared poised. It was virtually guaranteed, in my eyes at least, that they were going to revise Standard 503 to remove the requirement that law schools use a valid and reliable admission test, namely, of course, in most cases, the LSAT. This was all but guaranteed to go through. The Legal Education Committee passed it. The ABA was going to put it to a vote. But then for some strange reason, in the past few months, they said, we're not going to vote on this later this year. We're delaying that vote. We're delaying that decision. The LSAT is sticking around for now. And I can't help wondering if maybe law school deans and the ABA have decided that they want to keep the LSAT for now because they recognize that application essays will be less useful going forward. Of course, all of higher education is extremely concerned about the use of ChatGPT, problematizing the use of essays and papers in college for assignments, for example. I'm not sure whether they will go back to handwritten essays going forward. That seems like a step backwards, but I can't see them continuing to use application essays and papers the same way they have up to this point, given that virtually everyone applying to law school is aware of and is already starting to use tools like ChatGPT to augment their natural abilities. So watch this space closely. We'll see what happens going forward. But in the meantime, if you're prepping for the LSAT, if you'd like my help, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you out however I can. I've got live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. Check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.